So the first thing I wanted to look at is this thing called the TIOF, the Internet of Things. In fact, I spelled things wrong. Things. It's very late at night, I'm afraid. The Internet of Things is this world we are gradually moving into where every item in the real world everything in the real world will have an internet connection at some point in the future. There are many more devices now which are connected to the internet. Anything from toothbrushes, an example here. We have things called, there's a thing called Nest, which is a product Google bought recently for about $3 billion, which connects your heating and central heating and energy use to a device which you can then control through the internet, you can analyze through the internet, and data can be collected through the internet of people's homes and how they use stuff in their homes. So gradually, these things like the Oral-B toothbrush here, I think it's about $300 or something, where you can connect your toothbrush via Bluetooth to your phone or your computer, and you can get information sent to you about how well you're cleaning your teeth, how up-to-date the brush is, how charged the machine is, where your weak points are in your teeth, etc., etc. By having sensors in all these different day-to-day objects, the customer experience, the consumer experience will gradually become improved. And although these things are pricey at the moment, we know with technology that price will eventually come down and there will be mass adoption of toothbrushes that are connected to the internet, or heating things, or washing machines that Samsung are looking at the moment. And I think this will be a trend we'll start to either hear more about or certainly see more. Maybe you'll go to your friend's house at Christmas and the fridge will be talking to you and asking if you want a trifle or a Christmas pudding. I don't know. But certainly it's a trend we're seeing, and another example of that is tennis rackets. So I'm a keen golfer. I also occasionally try and play tennis. This tennis racket here analyses your swing, analyses how hard you hit the ball, where you hit the ball on your tennis racket. You can broadcast all that information back to your phone on a little app. And my previously innate object of my tennis racket now has this internet capability, and it can share information, and perhaps using that information about where I'm hitting the ball badly, it could then give me a YouTube video which I've optimized and tell me where to hit the ball better. So by connecting things to the internet, I think we'll start to see better experiences for users and us as consumers, and I think that will then probably bring up more data privacy issues and things like that, but certainly by being more open with our data, we'll start to see better results as end users. So that's the first trend I think we're seeing. Second thing I think we'll see more of this year is about the cloud. You know, cloud computing is becoming more and more prevalent. We ourselves moved to an online cloud accounting system a couple of years ago called Xero. But previously, the idea of putting key business information like financial information into the cloud would have just been mind-boggling. Who's going to do that? But the benefits from being in the cloud far outweigh the negatives of keeping it in-house. Why would I want to have a soft piece of software I have to install and maintain that gets out of date every year, that I have to pay a subscription to? With a cloud-based system like Xero or Salesforce, Google Mail, whatever it is, I can transport all of that responsibility onto someone else. They can manage it all, and I can get cheaper updates more often. So more and more data is being stored in the cloud, more and more services are being supplied in the cloud, and as costs go down and connectivity goes up, we're going to see more and more things move to the cloud. We've seen things like music completely disrupted by cloud technologies, because why do you want to buy a CD when you can stream a service like Spotify or Google Play for £5–10 a month? Netflix, completely crushed Blockbuster, traditional business that was generating billions of dollars, gone in 10 years. More and more technology is moving to the cloud. Users are becoming more and more au fait with trusting the cloud. And I think we're just going to see more and more of that this year. And more industries will start to be disrupted as well. So if you think that your industry you operate in isn't affected by the cloud, or can't be or won't be, I think that's quite a naive point of view. At some point there will be something from a digital perspective that will play a part in your business. And to illustrate that point even further, this is a screenshot I found while doing some research on this topic of a game. And this game is played in the cloud. This is the computer game shown on Google Chrome. So with my browser, I can play games like I used to be able to on my Xbox through a browser, because it's all hosted in the cloud, and the power of the cloud can give me much more a better experience regardless of where I am. There are millions and millions of games like Minecraft and things like that which are already there, but by getting to this sort of level of detail and level of interaction, why would you buy an Xbox? Why would you buy a PS3? It's all going to be hosted in the cloud, and maybe this is just our gateway to all of those experiences and all of that data. So that's another key trend that I'm seeing, I think will be really important this year. And another trend, which I've started to see bits and pieces of, and we've seen as an agency, again, it doesn't really impact us in terms of a marketing perspective, but certainly impacts the user experience, or will do in the future. It's to do with money. Does anyone know who this guy is? Bob Diamond, yeah. He was head of Barclays and had a ridiculous amount of power, also had a ridiculous bonus as well. How many people actually like banks? Of all the people in the recession who've got the biggest kicking, it's the banks and the bankers. Now I think there's opportunities to come, and we'll start to see some of this happen this year and the coming years, where people establish things like banks will probably start to lose favour, and we'll start to see the techie boys, the techie companies that we know and love and trust take over some of the banking that currently happens already. Google and Facebook have already played around with Google Wallet and Facebook credits and things like that. Apple could easily have their own currency. Apple apparently, according to various articles, have 10% of all of the corporate money in America in their bank account. 10%. It's like $160 billion Apple is sat on. Why? What's to stop them becoming a bank? They've got the money to do it, they've got the cash flow, they've also got all of the infrastructure because it's all on our devices. What's to stop Facebook from creating their own currency? And in fact, they've already done it. These brands are the most popular and most visited websites in the whole of the world. We use the internet more and more every single day. Google is one of the most powerful brands in the world. Do I trust Barclays or do I trust Google with my money? There's an audience growing up and a generation growing up who only know Google, and they don't know about NatWest or HSBC. They don't really care about them because they don't really like them. But they like Google and they like Facebook, and they're on those platforms all day, every day, and they use those sites really, really heavily across the world. So what's to stop, from a user experience and from an online perspective, me going into a shop or me going onto a website and paying for something with my Facebook credits rather than my Visa debit card? Nothing. This could all happen, and as I say, Google Wallet is something that's been around for a while, not really being used, but I would expect by the end of the year there's quite a big push by Google with their Android operating system to go into this sort of payments market. And again, Google Glass is another way that could happen, and they could become much more of a commerce company than a technology company. That's just my view. I could be wrong. So they've got the brand, they've got the scale, they've got the infrastructure to connect those billions of people. I would expect to see something end of this year really come up from a new kind of banking perspective. And then the final thing is to, I guess, for us to all be more mobile. When we talk about mobile, we do think of smartphones, but mobile technology does encompass things like tablets. I expect to be more and more mobile users this year, more mobile internet access. We already talked this morning about, I think it was Tesco that saw 40% of their shopping baskets built online from multiple devices. In my house, you know, my wife will use the tablet or her phone rather than get the laptop out because it's just easier. We live in a multiple device world, and the technology that we now got available to us is astounding. People buy more and more smartphones than they do desktops and even tablets. This graph was created a couple of years ago to say, you know, tablets are starting to take off. We expect them to take off even more. Actually, we're further up the graph now. So tablets, smartphones are growing at a much faster rate than PCs are in terms of use and new consumption. And I think in a few years' time, we'll start to see that become the first place of call. And certain companies already think about mobile design first when it comes to websites. Depends on the market you're in and how big your users are into mobile, but we see about 20-30% typically mobile usage on our clients. Sometimes it's 50-60%. And here's why. Because since tablets came out about 3 years ago, the rate they're being purchased is just completely staggering. It's now overtaken desktop PCs and notebook PCs inside 3 years. The technology wasn't even around then, and now it's becoming more and more purchased and used than traditional things that have been around for 20 years. So if we're not thinking more mobile now, we definitely will be by the end of the year. People still have more and more devices connecting to mobile devices. 4G is going to become much more prevalent. More and more technology is moving to the cloud. Why do I need to be sat in front of my PC? Maybe in a few years' time, we won't need a PC at all. We'll just need some terminal with a screen, connect our phone via Bluetooth, we connect via the cloud, Chrome login, whatever it is. And mobile would be the first port of call for a lot of what we already do. So if you don't have a mobile website, or a website that works really well, or the user experience on a mobile is pretty poor, I would expect to see that change for most businesses by the end of the year, if not now. And what I also find is that people have become addicted to their mobile phones, unfortunately. It's a very sad state of affairs, but you do walk into a room and people are like this. They sit in meetings and people are like this. I try and talk to my wife and she's like this. We are becoming more and more addicted to our mobiles, and we're becoming more and more ingrained in this world. And I found this website a couple of days ago, which I thought I'd leave you with, because although we do take our mobiles for granted and we spend a lot of time on our mobiles, across many parts of the world, people don't have access to the internet, and they don't even have access to water, unfortunately. So this project here, started by UNICEF, is basically a 10-minute challenge. Can you go 10 minutes without picking up your mobile phone? If you can, then the good people at Armani, who sponsored this project, will donate enough water for one village for one day. So go onto this website, don't touch your phone for 10 minutes, and you're helping the world, not only by donating water back, but also by talking to people and not being in your own little bubble. So I've done this many, many times, and I've actually spoken to more and more people. So if I can leave you with nothing, it's the fact, yeah, we are going to be more mobile, and we are becoming more and more addicted to our mobiles, but let's just put them down for 10 minutes, help some people around the world, and talk to each other more. So on that final point, I'd like to say thank you for listening. Thank you for coming along today. I really do hope you enjoyed it. As I say, if you can fill in the feedback forms, that really will help us improve future events. Enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for coming.